We're live. We are. We said we'd be live, and we're live. Hey, Eamon, how are you doing, man? I can see you. I can't see you, but I can see you're in the chat. So at least Eamon's made his way to the show. That's good. That's
Come
good
on,
news.
Eamon.
Yeah, we got Claire. Claire's on board. Dalbeer, Aisha. Yes, they're all coming in now.
We've got the whole crew mentioned.
Got the whole crew. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's joining now, so that's a good sign. I've got my family watching inside.
The Eamon trains brought everybody to the Quality Talks platform.
Yes, Eamon has brought everybody to the Quality Talks platform. He knows the directions. He ain't silly. He's got his Quality Talks t-shirt now as well, so hopefully he's going to be rocking that tonight. So yeah, James Wadley, there you are, James. I see you, man. I see you. Apologies for the mix-up of just sending out the wrong link. I don't know whether I sent out the wrong link. I sent out the link that I was given by YouTube.
Purpose just to add a little bit of suspense. You know, people's been waiting a long time for this one, so I think you just wanted to keep people hanging a little bit. To be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, Eamon is wearing his t-shirt. Love it. I'm sure it fits you better than this one fits me, Eamon. You're a little bit bigger than me, and a bit more solid. So this hangs off me a little bit nowadays. So I've got my dad bod going on.
I wonder if AJ's finished her curry yet.
I don't know. I don't know if AJ's in the house yet or not. Because hopefully everybody is. The wife's watching. The wife's watching. I need to be on my best behaviour. Yeah. Hi, dear. Hello. I can't talk about her indoors now. Well, she's literally indoors. Literally indoors. Cool. Well, we've got people bringing in now, so so let's get this cracking. Apologies again for the slight mix-up. This is a live episode of Quality Talks. So what could go wrong, right? We test in production. The world comes to an end occasionally. So yeah, but thank you everybody for joining. This is our first anniversary. This time last year, we dropped the very first episode of the Quality Talks podcast. And yeah, I think I don't know where the year's gone, mate. To be honest, do you?
12 months has absolutely flown by. I mean, I think we've had all kinds of emotions while putting out the episodes and stuff, and some of the highs, some of the lows, the struggles we've been through. But I think we can both say we're incredibly proud to get 12 months on and have the following and support that we do. I mean, even people giving the time out of a lovely Friday night to spend it with us. I mean, that's an achievement in itself, right?
I mean, to be fair, it's very difficult on a Friday night to find two good-looking guys like this to hang out with nowadays, right? So you got to get it where you can, right? I mean, what can you say? See, now Aubrey's messaging me. She's saying, "Hi, Daddy."
Hi, Aubrey.
I don't know, because that message has come from Abby, so it might. I don't know. She don't normally call me Daddy, but that's a whole different episode, I think. But anyway, thank you everyone for joining. This is our first anniversary. As I say, this time last year we dropped the very first episode. I don't know if anybody actually noticed in that first episode, Chris, but halfway through you grew a massive beard, or was it the other way around? Did you shave your beard? I can't actually remember, but we had so many technical issues, didn't we?
I think I shaved it off. I
think you shaved it off. If anybody hasn't actually watched the very first episode, go back and watch the first episode, because halfway through Chris's beard disappears, right? Because we had so many technical issues, we literally had to film it in two parts. So it was quite an interesting event, wasn't it, Chris? If I remember rightly. But yeah, just go back and watch that episode if you haven't done so already, because it was quite funny. But yeah, that looking back then, I can't believe how much we've achieved in a year. Looking at the numbers that we've achieved, and we've had, I was checking earlier, on YouTube alone, across all content, right? This includes shorts, so don't, we've had 8,500 views.
That's good.
8,500 views, right? I mean, they're mainly the ones where we've had guests on, because people are tuned in to see the guests. I'm not gonna lie. But 8,500 views, right? We've got 238 I think it just went up actually, 239 subscribers on YouTube. We've had 1,500 streams and downloads on Spotify. Incredible, and just thank you to everybody that's been following us, been sharing and contributing and yeah, all of that, and a special thank you to all the guests, right? Because all the guests have been brilliant. They've you've all made this so much easier. Because we don't have to think about what we're going to say all the time, and it's been so great to be able to interact with so many different people. So thank you to everybody that's been a guest on the show, and obviously, as you know, we're going to continue that and keep having more guests on and more guests on and more guests on. And Aubrey now says hi, Chris. Oh, I don't know. It might be Aubrey. It might be Abby. I don't know. But yeah, do you like my balloon, by the way? Look at my birthday balloon. Look.
No, it's
I've actually got a phobia
special.
of balloons. I hate them. I hate them being in the house. Whenever Aubrey has them for birthdays, I just want to pop them. She'll tell you that. She has to hide them down the back of the sofa for years. So yeah, don't like them at all. But just coming back to guests, right? All the guests that we've had on. There's one person that has been kind of like whether this person has been physically on the show, either co-hosting as a guest or just constantly being commented on and referred to in all our episodes. There's one person that we thought who better to get on and help celebrate our 1 year anniversary. And yeah, I thought, well, I don't like to mention him too much, but I'm going to bring him on anyway, because I think, to be fair, he does deserve it. So I'm going to introduce our special guest, everyone. You may know him. If you don't know him, you're probably maybe the 1% of the whole of the entire planet that doesn't know him. But I'm going to bring him on. And hey, Vern, how you doing, man? Oh no, I've got a proper. Hold on a minute. Where is it? Hold on.
Oh yeah, we'll go.
Hey, Vern.
You are hilarious. You're very kind. You're very kind. Happy birthday, Stuart and Chris. Happy birthday, mate. Well done.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Well done. Well done. Thanks for the intro. Thanks for asking me to help join the celebrations.
You're more than welcome. You're definitely more than welcome, my friend. And yeah, you've definitely been part of this journey over the last year. So yeah, thank you for everything you've done and stepping in. And yeah, you just seem to be a common name that comes up for every single episode, even in the latest. I know you haven't watched the latest episode, but Dalbeer, bless him, he gave you kudos for something you said to him at Ministry of Test in Cambridge about going onto LinkedIn and just commenting and stuff like that, and changed his life.
Oh, man, that's super duper kind. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
Exactly.
Yeah, met Dalbeer at a meetup last year about AI and stuff. It was really good, really cool. So yeah.
Yeah, we just dropped the episode with Dalbeer actually, and his journey around obviously looking for a role and using data insights to help him constantly improve, like interview to interview and things like that. So yeah, anybody that hasn't listened to that episode yet, go and check it out because it's a great one actually. And the whole we've done a whole bite-sized series around interviews following our Perfect Pair episode a few episodes back. And they've gone down really well. They really have.
I'll check them out.
Yeah, they all of those episodes have been our fastest growing episodes for views. So whether we've hit the nail on the head for the format because they're shorter, or whether people are just really interested in that topic because it's something that doesn't get talked about enough, right. I think either way we've kind of hit some gold with that. So yeah, we'll be doing more of those types of bite-sized episodes moving forward, so shorter formats. But yeah, we're live, Vern. I know you could see us backstage, and you're probably like seeing all the mess that we were making with everything, and trying to figure this technical stuff out. So yeah, thank you for being so patient.
I saw in the other channel that AJ was asking for tester jokes. I thought I don't have a punchline for this, but all I have is an opener, which is like, how many testers does it take to start the right live stream? And clearly 3 is not enough.
Clearly 3, yeah, no, absolutely. We needed everybody else that's currently watching us to help with that. Definitely,
yeah,
definitely. Hold on, Vern. That was pretty funny.
I feel like I'm in an 80s or 90s sitcom. That was brilliant.
Yeah, we could make a whole episode of Friends while we're here. Could we?
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah.
So we were just reflecting a bit just before you came on about how the year's gone, and obviously the things that what we were. I don't even know what we were hoping to achieve, to be fair, with the podcast, but it's exceeded my expectations massively. I don't know about you, Chris. But yeah, from my side, it has.
I mean, like when you first floated the idea about it, like, obviously there's a lot of nerves, and you kind of think like, what could it be? But I just kind of like thought, let's just not put any expectations on it, and let's just run with it each episode at a time. And then it's only like now that we've got the year's point and we're reflecting back, we're like, holy God, like we've actually been able to. I just realised because we're live, I probably can't swear, but
oh no, you can absolutely swear. Don't worry. Yeah. Don't drop any F-bombs, Fern. But
no,
yeah,
no.
you can definitely swear.
But it's literally amazing to see like how much we've been able to achieve, but we wouldn't have been able to do it without people like obviously Vern coming in, stepped in for so many episodes and stuff, giving constantly support and stuff. But then everybody else who's either shared the stuff on LinkedIn or put comments on YouTube and LinkedIn posts and stuff, and then of course to the guests who have used the platform themselves to come on, share their stories and stuff. I mean, this wouldn't have been possible without them. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. Just the friendships that we've been able to make along the way, the amount of people we've been able to become introduced to and build a bond and have those faces become somebody who we see or speak to on a regular basis. I think it's quite amazing that something like this can be so powerful.
Yeah, I mean, we hated each other at the start, didn't we? So I think we've done pretty well to like form a friendship as best we have. So yeah. But I mean, Vern, from your perspective, I know you've jumped in a couple of times. You were a guest on the show. I think we may have lost Chris briefly. Hopefully, we'll get him back. I think he's it definitely wasn't me that did that,
or me,
or you. So what's been sort of coming on as a guest and then also coming on as a co-host in one of those episodes? What's been your sort of experience of it?
What I have a little bit of an advantage. Advantage is the wrong word. I have a little bit of a different perspective because you and I are like actual friends now as a result of all the the times we've worked together. We started working together back in 2011, I think.
It was easy.
And then over the years, I've just, I think I might have mentioned this before, I've basically followed you around wherever you go to work. I'm like, hey, give us a job, and
but Bernie's
persuade you to do that.
Just here.
I might have camera shot, exactly.
Just turn the camera around. There he is.
And why that's important is because I remember the conversation where you said, oh, we're going to start this podcast, and what do you think? I'm going to do it with Chris, and it's going to be called this thing, and check out all these things, and da da da. So to see it go from the idea in your heads, and you're telling me about it. This is, I'm talking about pre-neon lighting. Do you know what I mean? And now to see where it's gone to, and see the community and that you're building up around it, and the consistency, and the determination and the support that you give to each other. When Chris was not able to join, he was still supporting you in the background, and you were still pushing ahead. And then when he came back, it was like, nothing, it was like there was no gap. Do you know what I mean? So it's just nice to see how you two work together and how you've overcome whatever obstacles have come your way. So yeah, it's pretty sick actually. Be cool to see what you do in the years to come.
Yeah, we've got quite a lot lined up, definitely. We've got hopefully we've got our very first live in-person recording being planned in September. We've got a venue being lined up in Leeds. We've got a sponsor for it. We're going to do a whole event on basically a live podcast recording, but in person with an audience.
Excellent.
So yeah, we're going to, see how that goes.
Take it on tour.
Take it on tour.
Yeah.
We've got the motorhome. We're going to put a big big deco all over the motorhome. That's what we're going to do.
So I don't know if you've mentioned this on your podcast, but Stu actually does have a very, very sick motorhome, like very sick. So yeah, he's not kidding. Him and Chris are going to literally hit the road in the motorhome. That'd be hilarious.
He's literally going to get it wrapped with a big picture of me and him. But I don't know if he's told me yet, and he's on the other side. He's going to have you as well.
I'm literally going to be wrapped in Chris and Vern. I mean, what more can a guy ask for?
The Stuart Day sandwich.
Oh dear me.
Oh yeah, dear oh dear. Yeah, I think it's like you say, Vern. I think because obviously you've got your podcast as well with Rich, right? And I think one of the things when we launched this, I think we launched in very similar times. I think you launched in April, we launched in the May.
Yeah.
And my concern has always been we don't want to clash with you guys. We want to do something slightly different. We don't want it to be samey, So, and I think overall we've achieved that. I think we cover similar sort of topics, at different times, but I just think they're different podcasts, right? And I think that's what is really important. And I think seeing people bouncing around between podcasts as well, I think is really cool. You've got the testing peers, you've got this quality engineering one now, there's QA hype, there's QA hype with Gary Shannon. I mean, he's even doing some sort of like rapping in it, or what, like I don't know what it is. I don't actually know what it is, like house garagey thing going on.
Get in.
Yeah, is quite cool. So just going through, like, obviously what we were sort of generally just what we were chatting about before we came on, like what Chris, from your perspective, what's been your most memorable moment then of the last year with the pod? And I'm really keen to actually see what people in the chat also, if those people that have been listening in, what their favourite moments have been as well.
It's hard to pin it down to one. So in typical fashion, I'm probably just going to say two, if that's all right.
Okay.
The first one for me was people might not be aware, but the first few episodes I was having constant mind blanks and brain farts. And I think it's like the pressure of doing something new. We all like kind of have had that anxiety, and you overthink things and put too much pressure on yourself. And I kept having these moments where I was having mind blanks and we were having to edit it out. And we got there, I think it was about the third episode, and we said, do you know what? Just keep it in. And just at that moment of just acknowledging it's okay just to be completely organic and just be like, just out there, like these things happen.
Yeah.
After that, it just completely settled us. And then now I just feel so much more confident and relaxed doing it. So that was a massive moment for me personally. But what the most memorable moment for me is probably starting this bite-sized series. So we wanted to talk about a particular topic that's hot at the minute because of the amount of people that's looking for work and like the way the nature of the industry's been for some time. And we realised that we actually have so much to cover, and seeing the comments that was coming in from people from the first episode, we realised there's actually a whole load to talk about here.
let's break this down into bite-sized, digestible chunks to cover topics that are really important to people and really hit home, and hopefully gives an opportunity for the listeners to take something away to hopefully like improve or better their situation from listening in. So that was probably one of the biggest moments for me, because then I realised that we're helping people with what we're doing. It's not just a bit of fun. We're actually hopefully making a difference.
Yeah, we've had a lot of good feedback on that series so far. We've got one more episode to come on that, haven't we, as well? I know, Vern, you said you haven't caught up on that series yet, but it's definitely like the whole topic around interviews and how to prepare, and on both sides of the table has been really it's really hit home with a lot of people. And I think you don't realize how little it's actually talked about. So
and it's timely, right? So there's a lot of turmoil in the employment market right now. So any kind of advice that people who know what they're talking about can give, it's going to be, people are going to lap it up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's having had people on that are sharing their experiences, and it brings it to life more for people as well. And just on that note, I asked people to drop in the chat which what's their favorite episodes, and Eamon, being as modest as he is, he's a great guy. He's very modest. He said his favorite episodes was the one that he was in. So clearly it's like. But no, he said, seriously, the one on navigating change was great. That was the one with Joe Reeves. Right. So when I had Joe Reeves on, Vern, Joe. Joe is incredible. And she's got an amazing potty mouth when she wants to use it as well. So, but yeah, you know Joe, right, Vern?
I do. And, that was going to be that I was like Chris, I kind of picked two, and that was going to be one of them, because I think it's a different kind of guest. So Joe Reeves, for the folks who don't know, she is a professional executive one-on-one coach of with a lot of experience, and so it was really good, because we people like the three of us, there's folks who are watching along. We talk a lot about quality coaching, and I literally started to learn about coaching from Joe, like literally in 2020, in 2020 during the pandemic. So I was super excited to see that she was on the pod. So, and I'm with Eamon, like the topics that she covered were very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. It was a very what's the word? The conversation went in unpredictable directions.
It did,
shall we say? Yeah. But good.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a great episode. I love that episode. And then the other episode that I was going to mention was I think you called it Rest Bash. It had Rahul on it, and Karen, and Ben.
Ben, yes, yeah.
Who all had some kind of presentation or workshop at Test Bash in 2024.
Yeah.
So to get them to come on and kind of reflect on that event, what they did, what they saw, how it went, I thought that was brilliant. If you couldn't get to the actual thing, then it was a kind of a nice little roundup. So yeah, pretty cool. They were my two, because I slight bias. I think those three folks are absolutely sick. So to manage to get them all three onto one episode was, I don't know how you managed that, to be honest. It's a lot of logistical craziness, but yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I really enjoyed like hosting that episode. That was just a fun episode to host and hear their experiences and stuff like that. And to be honest, I don't really, for me, just hosting guests in general has just been really, really cool and just fun and educational, right? It's just learning from other people. That episode with Joe, we said at the start, we kind of roughly knew what we were going to talk about, but we're just like, let it go, let it flow. And that's what we did. And went off on a couple of tangents here and there, and maybe took a direction that people maybe weren't expecting, but it hit home with so many people again, and that's what we're trying to do, right? So I think it's we want to make sure that we are connecting with as many people as possible in many different ways, and we're always looking for people to come on and share their experiences, and we've got a lot more people being lined up already.
Excellent.
So it's kind of like I don't have enough. We don't have enough Sundays in a year now. I don't think that's the trouble, because that's generally when we do our recording. But just coming back to the chat quickly. What we got? So we got James Wadley. How you doing, James? Eamon's talk was brilliant. He articulated his points so well. We also played this episode at the very beginning of our last meetup. Oh yeah, I know you did. Yes, thank you very much for doing that. That was Ministry of Testing Coventry. Have this started to be a bit of a trend now, James. Though you do realise that, right, mate? You gotta keep it going. You got to keep playing them at the start, because when I did the Lego workshop, it was playing when I walked in, which was really surreal. I have to admit, walking in and hearing your voice was a little bit weird. But yeah, and then same again at the Coventry one. But I think again, people have said that they really enjoyed that, actually. That it's just kind of a way of getting people to come in, settling in, listening to etc. etc. So yeah, that's cool. Dalbeer, What is Quality was a great episode. Oh, episode 2, What is Quality? Still don't know the answer to that, but I think it's we could do a whole nother episode on that now. I think a year on, how everything changes in a year. I did enjoy. I have to admit, I enjoyed that, because it really kind of that got us talking about brand, all sorts of things. If I remember rightly, it was we really covered a lot in that episode. And James liked the the AMA with Santa, so that was nice. Because
I forgot about that.
were you
Thanks,
Well,
James.
what are you laughing at?
I'll not sleep tonight. I'll just have the image of Stu in the Santa costume.
What do you mean, me? I've told you this before, Chris. That was not me in a Santa costume. That was Santa. Look, my daughter's watching this, right? It was not me in a Santa costume. It was actually Santa. How could it have been me? I was sat here. He was answering the questions from the North Pole. It couldn't have been me. So let's be honest now. Come on, let's be honest.
Chris and Vernon as reindeers next year.
Whoa.
Think about I've signed you up, Vern. That's it. We're in.
Yeah. Vern can be one of the elves, and yeah. Chris can be like Elf from Elf, because he's so tall.
Yeah.
So yeah, brilliant. Brilliant. So humanize the process. Short is great. Yes, AJ. Yes, I know. So Vern, I saw this. Like Rich mentioned to you that in I think it was your last episode, one of your shorts had hit like 1,500 views or over 1,000 views or something.
Yeah, mm-hmm.
Dude, we topped that. I ain't gonna lie. Right, AJ's just put it in the chat, so once it goes in the chat, it's there forever, right? 1.6 thousand views
Wow.
on a short, right? Humanize the process. So tip number 4 from our top 5 tips on for interviewers. So yeah, I still don't figure out how like YouTube works for views and stuff like that, but that short seemed to go crazy. So yeah, but dropping shorts does seem to be the one that really sort of like pushes the ratings up, I have to say. So I know, AJ, right? In only 2 weeks. I mean, I guess, But anyway, Vern's actually going to go and watch it now.
I was looking for it because I want to watch it later. I want to watch it later.
See the little bit jealousy there on Vern's face. It's like, man,
No, I haven't even watched our most popular short. I don't think so. It's
can I be honest though? 1.4 of those is me. I keep going back over and doing it again. I got RSI in my finger. Really hurts. Man. Really hurts. So, Vern, we had a couple of games that we played on a couple of the episodes. So we had the This or That episode, where we got a little bit into some conversations around manual testing versus automation testing and that whole debate. And I know you haven't seen it. Now you need to go and see that episode.
I do, man.
I'm starting to question having Vern on as a guest now, Chris, because I thought he was a really dedicated, listener, friend.
Oh, mate, it's been a rough few months. We can get into that after the show, but yeah.
Look, it's fine. You've got a huge backlog of episodes to watch.
Yeah, that's the good news.
The good news, actually, that's not the good news. The good news is that you don't know what these games are.
I do not know.
Brace yourself, Vern. You're in for a ride.
You're in for a ride, my friend. You're in for a ride. So we had the episode This or That where we covered off those difficult conversations or those difficult debates around manual testing, automation testing, and I think we even brought in there agile versus waterfall at one point, didn't we, Chris? And
oh wow,
yeah, I know, right? We really pushed the boat out on that one. But we started off the episode with a This or That game, and that This or That game was I give you two options, and you tell me this or that. It's really easy, right? Really easy game.
Is it literally? I just say the thing. I don't need to go into.
I mean, we may get into a debate about it.
Okay.
It's like me and Chris got into a little bit of a debate about. I can't remember what it was now, Chris. Can you? But there was something there about. Oh, it was sausage and mash, wasn't it? Was it sausage and mash and sausage and chips?
There's no such thing as sausage and mash. I mean, it's sausage and chips
I
all day, right?
I don't think we can still be friends if he doesn't. Do you know what I mean? It's like anyway. So this could end our friendship. We've been friends for a long time now, Von. But this could null and void everything.
It's high stakes. Okay.
But we'll do a round of it, right? So I'll throw one out there for you, Vern, and then you can throw one out there for Chris, and then. Right, so
I have to make one up. Bloody hell! Okay.
Yeah, you have to make one up as well.
Oh crap! Okay.
So I mean, I can give you a couple to start off with, get you into the flow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's start this one then. I'll give you a really easy one, right? Summer or winter?
Oh gosh,
it's supposed to be an easy one, Vern.
Summer. I'll go summer.
Yeah. Okay, I'm not even going to ask you why. Summer, right? Lock it in. Summer.
Yeah.
Shorts or trousers?
Trousers
in the summer.
Trousers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trousers.
It depends. Oh, mate. Okay, if we're talking about English summer, trousers.
Well, yeah, I'm not talking about Caribbean summer
Caribbean summer is shorts.
Yeah, and I bet it's those little hot panty shorts, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Yeah.
No.
That was going to be my next question. Okay, so I'll give you one more. One more. This one's for you, Aubrey. Strawberries or raspberries?
Strawberries. I hope that's the correct answer.
That is.
I mean, Aubrey's still mates. Okay, good.
Yeah. Don't worry. Yeah, you are absolutely on her best friend list. Still.
Oh yeah. That's not even close, man. Strawberries, bloody hell.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So now you can throw one. You can either throw one at me or you can throw one at Chris.
Oh, can I? Oh, okay. I'm being led a little bit by your background there, Stu. So I'm going to say Marvel or DC.
Ooh. Personally, I prefer DC because it's darker.
Oh gosh, goodness gracious!
But when it comes to obviously family fun and all that sort of stuff, it's Marvel. But yeah, I prefer the DC darkness.
Oh wow, okay.
So the Joker, Batman, all the latest stuff, the Penguin series on Sky, that was really cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Marvel, the DC Lego's rubbish, so I won't buy the DC Lego.
I'm definitely on the Marvel side. I was definitely on the Marvel side, yeah. Although I've learned to appreciate DC as I've gotten older, which is weird. I appreciate the older I get, the more I appreciate what DC's doing.
I don't get me wrong. I don't like all the rubbish Justice League that they did and all that other stuff. But the more I like the dark, proper,
gritty.
The gritty stuff, like the original Tim Burton Batman, that was cool. The rest of them can go jump. The latest stuff, is really good. But I still like Marvel. But
what about you, Chris? Is it Marvel or DC?
Don't have a preference, to be honest. I mean,
oh, you're such a Geordie.
I know.
I'm sitting on the fence, man. Come on.
I'll kind of watch anything, but I do like the like Joker and like you say the more original Batman and stuff. That's kind of. But then, just leave it at that, because I was going to say, was it Ant-Man on the other side? Because
Ant-Man was on Marvel, yeah.
Was Marvel.
I loved Ant-Man because I was just like, it just got me mind thinking, like, how cool would it be just to like zap yourself to be so minute, and the things you could get up to and the things you could hear and see.
I'm like that every day. I mean, I'm not exactly big, am I? So, I hit my head on the skirting board on a daily basis. So it can be quite enjoyable, but not all the time. I'm interested to hear what people say in the chat, actually, whether they've got a preference between Marvel and DC. Definitely. So, have you got another one, Vern? Another one for us?
Oh gosh.
It can be a bit controversial if you want. Oh yeah.
Well, it's got nothing to do with software development or software testing. It's just front of mind right now.
Yeah. Keep it clean.
It's clean, but it may not interest people. So I was going to say Liverpool or Man United.
I couldn't give an app's flying about either of them, mate, to be honest.
So. I suspect Chris has got a similar answer.
Yeah.
There's a very PG set of answers. I think there'll be a little bit more colourful answers to the show.
If I had to choose, though, it would be Liverpool. That's all I'm saying. If I had to choose, it would be Liverpool.
I'm just going to leave it at that. I get it. Yep.
That's all I'll say on that one. But Chris, what about you? Have you got any?
You know what my theme's going to be, right? It's always something to do with food. So I was thinking, because I've got a bar of chocolate on my desk, but I'm not going to say which brand it is because it might kind of sway your answer here. But
we can't advertise on this show.
Yeah, Cadbury's or Galaxy.
Who's that to? Is that to me or to both of us?
No, go for Vern. Cadbury's or Galaxy.
Oh, Vern.
I haven't eaten those for so long, so I'm trying desperately to go back to being vegan.
Sorry, I can't.
Are these the two? Sorry, I just need to clarify. Are these the ones that are just chocolate? There's nothing in them.
No, just chocolate. No hidden gems in them or anything. Just the plain chocolate.
I think Galaxy. Good
choice.
Hey!
Man, that isn't even a small bar. That's like a family bar, Chris.
Oh man,
it's Chris sized. That's what it is.
I do nothing in halves. Big Fantas. Jellies.
Oh wow.
Chris is all in.
I'm here for the evening.
Brilliant.
One for you, Stu. So I know we like to go to a fish and chip shop on a Friday evening sometimes for with tea, or as you might say, dinner. Would you
say dinner down here, dude? Yeah.
If you weren't going to get fish and chips, and you wanted something different, would you go for a battered sausage or would you go for a spam fritter?
Spam fritter.
All day. All day.
All day. Spam fritter. Spam. And
Spam fritter.
where I live, there is one fish and chip shop that does spam fritters. That's why we moved here.
Mate,
It's
you
the
want
only
to move
reason
up
we
to
moved to where we
Newcastle,
live.
everywhere does spam fritters. Even the shops that aren't chip shops.
Yeah, spam
Holy
fritter all day long.
smokes.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's like your worst nightmare, Vern, the spam fritter.
It's just wrong on basically every possible level it could be wrong
The
on.
great thing is, though, Harrison, my son, also, I mean, you know he's my son, but I'm just saying to the audience, he's my son. He also likes spam fritters, which is great, right? So we get them cooked fresh for us when we go to the chip shop. Yeah.
Wow.
I know.
Wow.
Special treatment. They order them in specially. Oh, I'm not going to say any more than that. So, yeah. Yeah, you're right, Eamon. That was a big bar. Yeah. And Chris is a big guy as well. So you can imagine how big that bar is if I held it. It would be like this. It would be absolutely huge. Oh, cool. So that was a bit of fun, wasn't it? That was a bit of fun. We kept it clean, So I want to move on to something that a topic for us to start really chatting around. And that's around what we've very much been trying to do with this podcast is build a brand but also build a community around that brand, right? And when we started this venture, we always said it was about the community, and it still is, right? Everything that we're doing is to try and give back to the community in some way, shape, or form. That's why we're so, we're so involved in making sure that we're dropping regular episodes, but also dropping stuff out on LinkedIn and just trying to get interactions going and supporting people, giving a platform to people to be able to come on and talk about their experiences that maybe they wouldn't have had the opportunity to do before. And one of the things I'll just say around that is naively, when we started this, I thought that would be quite easy. I thought, of course, just building a community around things, right? And, people will just naturally start following you and this, that, and the other. And no, it's a full-time job in itself. And when you look at like other organizations out there like Ministry of Testing and others that have got huge followers there, and all that they do from a community perspective, it really brings it into perspective how hard it really is to drive and build community, even like internally within an organization, right? And I think it's something that often we take for granted a little bit because we've got so many different ways to do it now. We can do it like we're doing tonight. Well, you've got a live stream going on. We've got YouTube. We've got social media. We've got all the possible ways to connect with people. You sort of think, oh, that'll be so much easier, right? But it's actually, I think it's actually harder because you're having to think about, oh, I'm going to drop this here. They'll put it there, and I need to do this here, and I've got to put that there, and then we've got to. And because you want to be inclusive, right? So I don't know about your own experiences with it, but I maybe it was naivety or maybe it was just inexperience. Obviously, built communities internally within organizations, that's a completely different thing to trying to build an external community and driving what we're trying to do. So I'm interested to get your thoughts around that. Vern, what about from your perspective? Because you've done a lot in the community, haven't you? For many years now.
I think what you said about it being difficult is probably an understatement. Actually, if you're deliberately trying to build a collection of humans around like a shared kind of topic or theme or something, and how do you do that? How do you keep people engaged? How do you stay relevant to those people? How do you deal with fallout and difficult interactions with people? Like how responsible are you for managing or curating the space? I think it's really really hard. I think doing it the way that you're doing it, almost on the back of what you're doing here with the podcast, I think that is kind of a nice. At least it feels like a nice, low stress way to do it, because everything is happens around the podcast. So you've got the comments in the different platforms, and you've got the events, which are the content that you create, and then you've got like you were just talking about, the shorts. You're going to try and start to do different kinds of events, like the live kind of podcast episodes, which in front of an audience, which will be a lot of fun because the energy will be different there.
Yeah.
And getting the questions from the community, I think it's all around. I think the most difficult thing is the engagement and committing to creating content, and then managing the people around that to make sure that no one is breaking any code of conduct style rules. I think it can turn into a really difficult proposition. So I think doing it this way, I think that's the best way to start out. I guess I think it feels like a nice. It's almost like you keep the training wheels on kind of thing, because you've got the infrastructure of things like LinkedIn and YouTube to keep people, to give people a vehicle with which to organize. It's not like there is, say, a Slack channel or a Discord to manage, where things can get a little bit crazy and a little bit difficult. And how do you manage people coming in? How do you get people out of there? Just having that brand that people can coalesce around, which is care about software, care about software quality. We're going to give people an opportunity to just come and join us and talk about stuff. I think it's a pretty cool and smart way to do it without having all the extra difficult stuff to deal with on top.
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's almost like you need that sort of catalyst to kind of build off from, like like you say, use that as a sort of a core. But Chris, I don't know from your perspective. I mean, as I say, that's how I thought about it when we started. I don't think we really talked about that side of things, but in my head, it was kind of like, we'll put the podcast out, and people will just naturally like.
Yeah, of course they'll listen. Yeah,
you'll build it and they'll come, right? I've seen the film, Field of Dreams and all that with Kevin Costner.
Exactly.
I mean, I know I'm no Kevin Costner, but do you know what I mean? It's like, but Chris, I don't know from your side.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of had the similar views to you, Stu. Like that kind of, I think when you're starting on a journey, you can be incredibly naive, and sometimes you're just focused in on the task that you've got at hand, like how to create that content first and foremost, and then just get it out there in hopes that people are going to engage, like it, and everything comes off the back of that. But I think one thing that is overlooked, and maybe from the listener's perspective, not maybe's seen or understood enough, is everything else that goes into making engaging content and building a brand. So it's not just about the stuff that we put out there in terms of the talks that we do and the recordings that we put out there, but it's when we get people commenting on the shorts, the videos, it's our engagement back to them through the platform or through our own LinkedIn profiles and things like that, engaging with the community, making people feel like they've been heard, and that their contribution really does matter. And also when you're out in the community and somebody recognizes you, giving the time to that person and in that moment, and helping build the brand that way. Just by engaging with them, remembering people's names, remembering previous conversations you had, their interests, and then following that up to give them a platform to come on and to the show and use that for their to tell their story. That's kind of the things that certainly was overlooked in the first instance, but I think the more as we've gone through it, it's become more apparent that actually that is where you want to spend almost most of your time. rather than kind of the content that we're just putting out, you know, because this can just be a conversation about a topic, but that topic of conversation can go on for many weeks and months, because once something's out there, it's out there forever, right?
Yeah, it's very true.
Can I ask you both a question? So, what was the goal on this particular aspect of having the podcast? Do you know what I mean? So, why did you want to start the podcast, and where did community start to become a thing? And what is the goal? Is the goal to create this community space that everybody can pile into, or not, or did it just come about naturally? If that is the case, like where did it start, and where's it gotten to now?
I mean, the idea of this started a long time ago, Vern, and it's something that I was really keen on putting out there, because I didn't feel like there's lots of podcasts and stuff out there, but for me, what I really wanted to achieve, and hopefully we are achieving it with what we're building here, is a platform for people to use for their own benefit. They can come on and they can share their experience. They can talk about the topics that they feel are pressing. And, you know, as I say to anybody that comes on, our platform is yours to use, right? So the idea, therefore, is obviously we want to build the community, build the listeners, so that then other people can then benefit from sharing their stories, you know, connecting with more people. And it's just our way of kind of like giving back more and more without, you know, necessarily having to invest like a lot of money and things like that. You know, we've talked about we're going to be putting on events, but, you know, we could have started there. We could we'll just put meetups on, right? But meetups, you're in a position where only certain people will be able to join because they're in that location, or they've got to travel and this, that, and the other. And we felt like, for me, that's why I you know, I wanted to start the podcast as a mechanism to start, you know, talking about some of the topics that we want to talk about, but then also giving people the platform to, you know, do the same thing that maybe wouldn't ever get the opportunity.
I think for me as well, it was kind of similar as Stu, but then also like not making it about something that is like kind of an educational platform in the sense that it's right or wrong in what we're speaking, that it's based off experience. So there isn't any right or wrong, which instantly takes the pressure off us because we're sharing our perspective on something. But from a listening perspective, it's about food for thought. We don't want to tell somebody how something should be done. We want them to be able to listen and use that, what we're saying is a creative idea, to be able to apply to their own situation. And the same when somebody else has an experience and they want to use the platform for to like share it with other people, come on and talk about their experience and let that be food for other people. And then that also helps to drive more engagement, again, because we're not speaking about what's right or wrong. So we allow people to then go away and use the ideas that they've surfaced from listening in, and then bring that back to the community and talk about it, even if whether they come on the show or whether they're just engaging through conversation on the various platforms through the chat and stuff, which again helps to start and build that community, because it's not just us engaging with our listeners, it's our listeners engaging with other listeners. And I think that's like really what building a community is about. You can also like remove us from the equation, and Quality Talks is still that platform for all of these people to engage with one another in the same way that Ministry of Testing does, you know?
Nice. So does that mean you're going to have more, you know, continue with the guests and have more and more guests, either from, you know, the listeners, but also outside, like, you know, more Joes, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. We want to keep it mixed up, right? Because we enjoy doing the episodes together. We enjoy just chatting, That was one of the reasons why we set this up, right? Is because we could talk for England, right? And we're the same, though, right? If we get
Yeah.
chatting, we chat and chat and chat, right? And
you do
so we
actually, yeah.
thought, why not? So some of the stuff that we talk about could probably add value to other people, right? So why don't we just chat
Right.
and then share it? And it
Nice.
kind of spawned from there. But also, as I say, having those different types of guests on that aren't necessarily the usual guests like you'd get on these types of podcasts, like Joe, right? Joe's incredible. Just a human being, she's just incredible. She's incredible what she does, and you could talk to her for hours and hours and hours, right? And she when I said about, oh yeah, got this podcast, she's like, that's amazing. And I'm like, would you want to come on? I'm thinking like she'd be like, oh, no, it's not. She's like, absolutely. And then it was kind of like, okay, so what do we think we could talk about that would sort of connect with people? And that's why we went for the Navigating Change episode, because everybody has to go through that at some point. And whether it be with changing jobs, whether it be with physical change, whether it life change in any way, shape or form, family, whatever, we thought, and that's what what we want to try and do, is like connect with people in so many different ways. Yes, we are our roles in our industry are still our roles, and our focus is tech and all this sort of thing, but we don't necessarily have to be talking about tech on a day-to-day basis to be relatable to what people do on a day-to-day basis, if that makes sense. And that's what we're trying to do, and why it's so important to give people the platform to do it. And just looking at the chat, firstly, Aubrey says we're doing great, by the way. I'm just going to throw that out there.
Thanks, Aubrey.
Yeah, see?
Strawberry.
I'm really rubbish at these. Every time I do them, they look really weird. But anyway, Eamon says, love that. Everyone has a story. Same Aisha, 100%. Everyone's story is valid. AJ, yes, this is Joe Reeves we're talking about. Yeah, sorry. Yes, Joe Reeves. You may have seen the episode. I think it's like episode 6, I think it was, Navigating Change. We're definitely going to get Joe back on. Because Chris wasn't able to make that. And yeah, I know, Chris, you're keen to
desperate to meet her and
desperate to meet her. Yeah,
learn
absolutely.
as well,
Yeah. So, actually, AJ's put a quote from that episode, which is, we often overlook the grief that comes with letting go of the familiar. So absolutely Big. Is. And what jumped out at me, and this is what I love about having guests on, and I learn so much. Right, we learn a lot from just having a general conversation because it sparks different thoughts. But having guests on, like, you just learn all the time. I use it as a learning experience. It's amazing, right? And so it's we benefit from that as well. And the thing that I really took away from that episode with Joe was, we're grieving all the time. We're always grieving about something, and I always associated grieving with the loss of somebody, or do you know what I mean? Whereas actually it's not. It could just be, I've lost my job, I'm grieving. I've lost, it's and she admits she's not a grief expert by no means, but grief is there in our lives on a day-to-day basis, and often we don't even relate to it and know it's happening.
I will say, be careful of throwing the just in there. Oh, it's just because I've lost my job. I was listening to a presentation last year by Ashley Hunsberger, who is fantastic and has studied and is going down that rabbit hole of organizational psychology, and grief from losing a job. I think this comes up in your episode as well with Joe, Stu, is a real thing. Yeah. Like, it's a real, genuine thing. Covered by that quote that AJ shared. And it's only when it was articulated like out loud almost, you're like, oh yeah, it actually is. That makes a lot of sense.
And that's what I mean. You don't associate it. Like, we've all been on that side of things at some point, right? And if somebody was to say, "Oh, you're grieving," I'll be like, I don't think I am, but okay. Do you know what I mean? It's like for me on a personal level, I've never really associated it in that way. But that's what jumped out at me in that episode is like,
Yeah.
I took a lot from that. It really made me sort of think, oh wow, okay, and it's changed my sort of mindset around that whole piece.
Yeah. That's what I think that's what you'll continue to get from the guests, the variety of guests that you have on your podcast. You start to get all these different ideas and see how they kind of morph and help and impact people in their day-to-day in this wild world of software testing and software quality, man, because it can get a bit sketchy out there.
It absolutely can get sketchy out there. Absolutely can get sketchy out there.
Blindsided by all kinds of things and in all kinds of different ways. So
yeah, and it's a troublesome time at the moment, isn't it? That's all I'll say. It just seems to be
good word.
troublesome.
Good word.
That's the clean version.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, coming back to the episode around navigating change, the amount of change that we see, the flux of change that we have in our roles, in our industry, is constant. It doesn't sit still. It just doesn't sit still. I mean, I've been 27 years. I could have been like 50 years for how it feels.
It's not the age; it's the mileage.
Yeah, exactly, because of like what we have to deal with for constantly having those same conversations. Feels like you're having those same battles, all the time. Okay, we're approaching them differently, but how has things really changed that much? That do you know what I mean? And I think that's something that is always an interesting thing to see, whether you're a veteran in the industry, so to speak, or you're new in the industry. We probably still experience very similar things, and we're having to adapt to those things on a regular basis. So, and I think this brings me on to something that AJ put in, commented or dropped a comment into Slack earlier. She brought up a question, but just before we get into that, if anybody does have any questions or anything that they want us to chat about off any of the topics or anything else, then drop them in the chat and we'll pick them up in this next bit. But AJ dropped a really interesting comment out earlier for us to talk about, and I'm going to read it out. Actually, have you guys got a copy there, or do you want me to read it out? I'll read it out for the audience, obviously. So AJ said, I'm noticing a trend increase again of being the only tester or QE in the village type thing, but from a leadership perspective. Quite rightly, instead of hiring a tester first, companies are hiring experienced leaders to set up quality and test in the game, which is cool. But as a SQE manager, having to basically set everything up for quality is hard. Testing/quality seems to be most common skill set that has to be that lone elephant, so to speak. Elephants thrive in communities. In most tech companies, time and time again, and it can be very isolating until you get closer to that North Star. She said, I'd love to just hear your thoughts on this and the new lone elephant setting their packs, tribes, so to speak. So, Vern, you're in a new role recently, right? You've gone in as a
6 months.
Yes, and your role is a senior engineering manager.
Mm-hmm.
Is that and have you experienced that from, or are you directly building a team? Are you managing just quality engineers? Is it a mix of everything? What's been your experience with it?
I joined a team of testers, so that there were already testers at the organization. In that company, though, what we want to do is continue to evolve what that testing looks like and start to change the narrative, if you like, or the description or the perception of what testing is. So on the one hand, I'm not quite in the same situation that I think AJ's describing, because there are one or two other leaders, if you like, who come from a similar background to me. But at the same time, though, I think I am in that situation because there is probably only, in terms of leadership, I'm talking about.
Yeah.
In terms of leadership, there's probably only one other person that thinks about it in that, I nearly said weird, but the folks in this live who might be listening to it live or listening to it later, or who listen to the podcast, will go to a conference, will go to a meetup, they really think about testing and quality.
Yeah.
And even if there are other people there, I've definitely felt in the past that I'm the weird guy who will travel from Leicester to North Wales to hang out with other testers to talk about testing over the weekend. And that's like, it's that. Do you know what I mean? That's the thing that's made me feel, do you know what I mean? Like a bit of an odd one out. But the reason that I like to do that is that it gives me, maybe it loops back down to that community. It gives me that ability to thrive. So if I can't immediately get that relief in the day job, on that support in the day job, outside of the day job, I can still get that support. There's still people that I can bounce ideas around with on some kind of level. Obviously you can't go on, like, blab, if you like, your company secrets all over the place, but you can definitely kind of abstract things enough to get some real helpful support and insight and suggestions, alternatives into a situation or situations you might be dealing with at work. So in this particular job, I'm not in that situation, but I have been in other roles, that lone first tester into the breach kind of thing. And like I say, even when I'm not, there's not many people that basically enjoy it or think about it or obsess about it to this degree in the organizations that I work in. So that can make me feel like the odd one out.
Yeah. How about you, Chris? Have you experienced that feeling of like being that lone advocate or that lone leader that's kind of like, beating that drum? I definitely have. I definitely have on a number of different occasions in a number of different roles. I don't think, it doesn't feel like it ever has really changed as such, but I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I think although I've always been in roles where I've been surrounded by other people in the quality profession, I've still had that feeling of being the lone person, where in the organisation I might be involved in certain conversations where I'm the only one at that moment representing quality. And sometimes it can be it's quite a big ask to stand there and be the one who influences people's perspective on quality, because there's no right and wrong with quality, right? It is a perspective, and when you're by yourself, it's quite a tall ask sometimes to convince the audience and work on those kind of negotiation tactics to get them to see quality from your lens and persuade them in that way. Whereas when you've got other people around you who are, when you're all singing from the same hymn sheet and you've got each other's back and you're not that kind of lone elephant, it's a lot easier to sway the narrative and get people to think differently about what quality really means. It's like the herd mentality. Once you can kind of get one or two to think the way that you are, then the rest tend to follow. But sometimes when you're just that lone wolf, you can scare the whole pack away as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it is difficult, and I think I've never been. I don't think I've ever. Well, I have been in a position where essentially I've gone into a role and maybe only had two people and have had to build a team up from there, and you're kind of up against it a little bit. But I think more over the more recent years, it has been more at that senior leadership level where you feel like you're the only one. You're surrounded by other your peers at the same level, but they're not. They're the people that you're having to try and influence solely. You don't really have other people that are trying to influence the same or advocating for the same thing as you. So you haven't got a partner to pair up with into those conversations. It's always like you against the world almost, and it feels that way. And I feel like that's I don't know how we get over that, to be honest. I think it's obviously we can build advocacy, we can look for allies. And I think the allyship thing is really important, especially when you're looking to build culture. You're not going to get you're not going to have huge budgets where you can always like build big teams and stuff like that. So how can you build allyship to have other people step in and help support into some of those conversations and things like that? And that's what I've tried to do over the years, is trying to find those allies that would say, right, can you sit in this room with me and almost be that other person to kind of have my back a bit. And I find that has helped. But yeah, it's definitely something that's a problem. I think interestingly, obviously, AJ calls it out more so at a leadership level now, maybe than before. And maybe that's also because, are we seeing? Here's a question to you guys. Obviously, we know that the job market is challenging or troublesome, as I put it earlier. But the roles that we're seeing, are we seeing more senior leadership roles from a quality perspective being recruited for, versus say the lower level roles, if you like, the sort of the in team roles and the IC type roles? So therefore, you may be seeing more of this leader isolation.
I think it's like a mutation of what we'd seen a few years ago. We were seeing a lot of the job market being flooded with people who had to be what we were calling unicorns a few years ago, like have all of the different technical skills. And I think the expectations have just further developed, and now we're expecting leaders to be able to manage teams, coach people, be that kind of emotional support within the workplace, whilst also being technically hands-on, writing all these frameworks from scratch, building people up from entry level and teaching them through to be a senior. Like, they just want like kind of everything from an individual, and I don't necessarily know why that's happening. I don't know if it's maybe a misunderstanding of the quality role, or not necessarily having the appreciation for the different types of roles within quality, or is it that the kind of world and the situation we're in from a financial standpoint, the tightening of budgets has meant that companies aren't spending as much to build teams, so therefore they're just setting the bar higher and wanting people to basically cover multiple roles now. But I'm not too sure, but it does seem to be trending in that direction.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Vern?
I think I agree with Chris when he talks about you're saying how the expectations are different, and organizations are expecting you to do all the things. I think that is true. I think the point that I heard in what AJ was saying is it's about how, or at least this is what I interpreted that. It's like there's a bunch of people who are alone that may not need to be if we could just get to them, or just let them know that we're around, if you like. Because I think I've formed that support network by virtue of, pretty early on in my testing career. Well, it feels early now because I've been doing it for so long, but it was after a few years I realized that software testing was a thing, by which I mean people were writing about it and talking about it and trying to get better at it and trying to help other people get better at it. So I would I would go and find blogs and I would read those blogs. And much like you've got comments in the chat here, you'd have comments in the blogs, and you could comment in the blogs, and you start to form relationships, and you'll see people on these different blogs talking, and then there might be an online event where you would meet people, and there might be an in-person event where you'd meet people, and so on and so on and so on. And then you do this, and then I was really fortunate that I was able to do a lot of that, formed some of those relationships via my 9 to 5 as well. Like I said, Stu and I have been pals for over a decade now because we worked together over a decade ago, and we're still, now we just hang out. And would you believe sometimes we don't talk about software testing? Do you know what I mean? Incredible. So, but how do we help or reach those people that are in the situation that AJ talked about, where it's just, they've been dropped into this situation, they've got to build up the quality culture from where it is to something that's, air quotes, better, but they feel like they're on their own. But actually, if there was just if there was some way to reach them, I think that's what people like Ministry of Testing and others are trying to solve, like create a space for people to go. The thing is, I think there are communities within communities, there are niches within niches, and I think that I don't know if any one space is going to give you everything that you need necessarily, and because people change and they evolve, right? So it's like, okay, I've met AJ a few times. She's spectacularly experienced. Where does somebody at AJ's level of experience and seniority and capability go to find other AJs to hang out with? Because the kind of questions that she's asking, she may not get good answers if she's, in a more general software leadership, space. I think that's the thing to solve. I haven't got a good answer, to be honest, because I just naturally went out and found people, and I've kind of evolved with that cohort of people.
And I think it's a good point because, like you say, do we have that level of people in the same way? It's sort of that level of experience of people to be able to go out and find and coerce with and stuff like that, as we do sort of like when you started out, right? It was like there's a bigger pool of people at that sort of that level than there are maybe the more senior level that can, kind of help and with that sort of level of experience. The other thing with it as well is again, you can gain so much from the community, you can learn so much, but I've had conversations with people. It's like, I've taken some really great content on the podcast, and really great ideas I want to take back into the company that I'm working for, but they're just not open to it. They're just like, where do I even start with that? And I think that's also that challenge of like, it's great to be able to go out in the community and get advice and get help and stuff like that, but when you go back in, you're kind of back on your own again, and you're in that position of, how do I influence and where do I start? And that's where I was sort of saying about the allyship. If you can build allyships within the organization as well as then use your communities externally, and maybe get those allies to come to those communities as well, or come to meetups and whatever, then you might start, breaking down some of those challenges.
If you're talking about building allies, and I I think the real power move is to go hang out with them in their kind of find their watering holes, if you like. Like, where do they go and hang out and talk about their challenges and how do they get better, and go and try and understand the world from their point of view. But if we're talking about it from ours, then try and invite people along. Let them know, there was this podcast with these, two cool dudes, and they spoke to, some folks who were talking about this topic and that topic and the other topic. Here's the link, check it out. It's a short, you don't have to spend your whole hours to check that out. Let me know what you think.
I think you made a good point there, like hanging out with each other and understanding each other's worlds, even though they might not be advocating for the same thing. It's just having that understanding of sometimes the differences in order to form that allyship. But I put something in the chat there, and I spoke about it recently in a talk about like emotions and vulnerability. So when you're wanting to build allyship and really connect with someone, even if they're from a different discipline and they want a completely different outcome, sometimes just seeing it from their perspective and seeing the challenges that they face, although those challenges might be different, those challenges will make them feel a certain way. And you use your situation and your challenges and how that makes you feel, you can find common ground there through the emotions we feel, even though the outcomes are completely different. And we use that human...
reminded me of...
Go on, sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go on. No, go on.
Go on, Ben. No, I was just going to say, and it's that human connection that brings us together, regardless of what we're trying to achieve. So then we can start, like, sometimes we might want to try and influence something within an organization, and we're trying to get our point across. And sometimes we might say something to somebody. We know it necessarily hasn't landed that well, but sometimes it's important just to ask them, from what I've just said there, how did that make you feel? And just understand the emotional connection that they've had. What's the response? Yeah. And then you can start and build upon that. And it's not necessarily about the words that we speak, it's about the message that you're sending.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got deep there.
It was great. Aisha's put, she said she loved your talk, Chris. It's still helping her today. So,
no, thank you.
You know, yeah, it's it's what happens on this pod. We get deep sometimes. We get deep when we get deep and meaningful, and those emotions start coming through. But yeah, it's like a lot of the things, right? It's a two-way street as well. If you're looking to build allyships, like at your point, it needs to go both ways. You can't just expect people to be your ally. You need to be their ally and understand, where they're coming from as well, and building those connections. So yeah, I don't know, AJ, whether any of that's really helped at all, but one thing's for sure, that we're all here if you ever want to have a chat and you need some support. We absolutely know where you're coming from, and we all go through it on a regular basis in one way or another. So if you ever need to reach out, by all means reach out, and we can support and help you out however you need. And I'm sure there'll be loads of other people as well that are either listening to this later that are out there. So if there is, what are you laughing at, Vern?
I don't know what. I just happened to see a comment from AJ that says, "Is all the podcast budget in Stu's office?"
I was trying to ignore that one. I saw that one as well, and it made me chuckle to myself. And I'm like, I'm not even gonna respond. No.
He doesn't even get a balloon.
But
Sad times.
Yeah, but do you know who bought me that balloon, AJ? My beautiful daughter. I know, actually, my wife did as well, but it was my beautiful daughter and my beautiful wife. So yes, they bought me that balloon. If I'd have known, I'd have also got them to buy Chris one and send it to Newcastle. But I didn't know. So yeah, so we've been going for an hour and a half now, people. I hope you've all been enjoying the discussion points. I don't know whether there's anything else that you guys want to hear about in the chat or anything, but from my perspective, I've had a lot of fun this evening. Just having a bit of a celebration with you guys and covering a few pressing topics and reminiscing a little bit and all of that jazz. And yeah, thanks again for joining, Vern. Really do appreciate it, and thank you for all your help over the year. Can I just say one thing though? I am really disappointed that you're not wearing the hat.
I couldn't find the bloody thing. I don't know what I've done with it.
Again, see, he hasn't watched any of the episodes. He can't find the hat.
Would you believe I've literally just looked up and I can see it. Hold on, stay there.
Oh, is it on the mantelpiece? Is it like full view for everybody to see? So this is what happens, people, right? Vern got a special white edition of this hat, because I see he always wears white hats. Now he's wearing a black one tonight to prove me wrong. But he got a white edition, and he never wears it. There you go, see? And now he's got one. Look at that.
Do you know what it is? It's
it actually pops really nice on the white, Vern, as well.
It was on the back of the door, which is usually closed or usually open. So now it's closed. That's why I didn't see it.
Of course, yeah. You could give me all the excuses you like, my man, but it's all good.
But I got it on in the end.
You did get it on in the end. No, that's it. And we've still got I've still got the photo of you sat in this chair with the other hat on and all that stuff. And it actually makes an appearance in the latest episode, so you need to have a look at that. And
oh, brilliant!
You can see it. But
mate,
but yeah,
Eamon, you're killing me, bro. You're killing me.
What's going on in the chat? Eamon, exactly that. He's a fake fan. I'm glad you've seen it tonight, right? I genuinely thought we'd bring Vern on because he's been such a great supporter. The last episode he watched was the one that he was in, right? And I don't even think he's watched that episode, to be fair.
The last one I watched was, I think it was the one from Joe, or the one after Joe's one.
So the one after Joe was I think it was with Tommy and Harry. Need for Speed.
Yeah, watch that one. Watch that one for sure.
So you didn't even watch your own episode that you were in with Nicola.
Oh,
you and Nicola. That's generated how many book sales? Can I just ask?
Not enough. Not enough, actually, folks. So please, we need more
of book sales. Yeah.
Nicola has ordered a Lamborghini. I've ordered a Ferrari. We need to pay for it. Please order as many books. Order some for your friends, your family, your neighbours, neighbours.
Yeah. And anybody, just anybody, just
random people in Sainsbury's. Please, just go for it.
Yeah, exactly. So I've just, something, we've been on air for an hour and a half, and I've just realised I've got my full bloody name on the screen, and I never used my name as Stuart, do I?
You don't. Bloody hell, yeah.
Normally
I just thought you were going quite formal.
No. Mate, you know me. I that's one thing I don't do is go formal. I don't go formal. Cool, but I think we're. Sorry, Dal Beer bought the book. Just saying, Dal Beer.
Thank you, Dal Beer. You're a legend.
So yeah, so you need to write him a check now. Right, I think we should wrap it up, guys. What do you think? I think we should wrap it up.
There's one actual thing you haven't even mentioned, Stu. Do you know what it is?
What's that? Go on. What is it?
We've had a uniform update.
Oh, this uniform? You mean this nice new? I don't even know whether people can't see, right? Look, see what it says. 1 year anniversary edition of the T-shirt. So yeah, that's what we've got, especially for this episode. We had these 1 year anniversary T-shirts printed. So they're only going to be worn for this one, and then they're going to get framed.
Oh wow!
so yeah. Apologies about that, Chris. I forgot about that.
I know, it's where the budget went. That's why I didn't get me balloon.
That's why you didn't get your balloon. Oh, actually, AJ, can I just say something? I will say something. We went and visited Chris at Christmas, Chris and Lois, and Chris got a present. He got a nice light to put up for his for when he's live on air. and he's not even using it this time.
I'm not prepared this time. Well, it was on last time. We just actually moved rooms into the. I used to be on the other side of the house, and now we're in this one. This is the office now, and it was here, front in view, on the windowsill, on the last episode. Check it out. And my wife has now decided that this plant pot looks better.
I take offence to that because I bought you that bloody light.
So I need to switch it back over when we're going, especially live on air as well, crikey. But it shows how prepared I was today, coming on last minute and not getting me set up right. But
yeah, well, you weren't quite as last minute as Vern, right? We were going live at 7 p.m. I know we had some technical issues, people. I apologise for that. We were going live at 7 p.m. Vern rocks up at 6:58. So we had 1.5 minutes before we went live. That's the reason why we were a little bit late. I'm not going to lie. But then obviously we had the technical issues. This is Vern. I mean,
he was so relaxed.
Can't fault the guy. He was so chilled. He's like, "You right, guys? How's it going? Yeah, we've got 30 seconds. I'm cool with that. That's fine. Don't worry. We know what I'm doing. Yeah." And there's me and Chris, like, with the sweaty armpits and the sweat, like, pouring off our heads and stuff. Vern rocks up.
Said I could show any time. So I did.
Yeah, but Vern,
I wasn't late.
You weren't late. You were like a wizard. You were neither late or early. You turned up exactly when you meant to. Yeah, exactly. I know. I appreciate that. I appreciate it. But look, all joking aside, man, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Also, thank you for everything over the last year. Stepping in. When I needed you to co-host with me, coming on as a guest, and all the honourable mentions that you keep getting on the show. And I'm gonna have a little little, what's the word? Not memorial, because that's a bit morbid, isn't it? What's the word I'm looking for? I don't even know. I'm going to get this little cardboard cutout of Vern that just pops up on the screen every time you get a mention like this. Like that.
Hilarious.
So yeah, but cool. Right, let's wrap it up, guys. It's been great. Really appreciate it. Thank you for everybody that's hung with us. Do really appreciate it. I hope you've enjoyed it. We said it was going to be a little bit free flow. It definitely was. But yeah, hopefully you've enjoyed what we've been chatting about. Thank you for coming and celebrating with us. Looking forward to the next year.
I just want to say one last thing. On behalf of the audience, congratulations to you both. 1 year in, already smashed it. Next year is going to be even bigger. So, well done. You should be proud of yourselves. Not many people make it past the 12-month mark, and you have. So, do you know what I mean? You should be proud of that. Give yourselves a massive pat on the back. Adding lots of value. So yeah, stick with it, guys. Stick with it. You're doing really well.
But sorry, I've got something before. I mean, something to follow that. Thank you, by the way. I really appreciate that. But I think we need to give ourselves a big cheer, right? So. Let's keep going.
It's an encore.
Thank you. Still going. Oh, thank you. Oh.
Oh, mate, too funny.
All right, yeah, that's enough now. Thank you.
There we go.
Yeah, brilliant. No, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Yeah, we've got a lot to line up over the coming year, and we're just going to keep going all in, as we do, as we said in the first episode, right, Chris? We don't have a clue what we're doing, but we're going all in, and that's what we keep going to keep doing. So, but look, if anybody that's listening, whether it's now or watching this on playback, again, thank you for all the support. Really do appreciate it. We love it. We love you all, and just keep sharing with us. your thoughts, the content asks. If you want to be a guest on here, then by all means just let us know, and we'll get you on. And yeah, our platform is your platform, as we say. So again, thank you everybody. We've made it, Chris. It's been a year. Love you, man. Thank you everybody. Join us on next episode of Quality Talks podcast. How'd you say it, Vern? We out.
We're out. Peace.
Peace.